No one should be knocking at your door after midnight. Story 1. The night was the kind that seems to swallow sound. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the faint hiss of the radiator, even the soft tick of the wall clock when it struck 3. I'd been up late, scrolling through emails, the glow of the screen making my eyes feel gritty. When the blinking cursor finally blinked out, I stretched, yawned, and told myself I'd be in bed within minutes. I turned off the desk lamp and shuffled toward the bedroom, the wood floor cold under my socks. The hallway was dark except for the thin sliver of streetlight that seeped through the front window, painting a narrow line across the carpet. That's when I heard it. A faint, rhythmic tap against the front door. 3 knocks. Not a slam, just a light, deliberate rap that seemed to come from the other side of the thick oak. My heart jumped. I told myself it was probably a neighbor, maybe a delivery that had gotten delayed, but the house was 2 streets from the main road, and I hadn't ordered anything. The knocks came again, a second set, then a pause. I pressed my palm to the old wooden door, feeling the faint vibration through the cold metal knob. The hallway lights flickered, as if the house itself were breathing. I stared at the door, trying to make sense of the rhythm. 3, 3, 3. A pattern. A warning, perhaps. I forced a breath and called out, "Who's there?" My voice sounded thin in the empty house. No answer. Only the echo of my own words and the faint creak of the floorboards behind me. The knocks resumed, a single thud this time, slower, more hesitant. My mind raced. A stray cat? A drunken neighbor? Or something worse. Someone who knew the house, its doors, its weak points. I moved back to the bedroom, the door to the hallway still ajar. I could see the shadow of the doorframe in the dim light, the faint outline of the knob glinting. My hands were slick with sweat as I slid under the covers, pulling the blanket up to my chin. I could still hear it, knocking, now irregular, like someone testing patience. A low, guttural sigh escaped the other side of the door. My pulse hammered against my ribs. I remembered the news from earlier that day, a string of burglaries in our neighborhood, all unreported until the victims finally realized what was missing. No one mentioned a forced entry, just an open door, a missing necklace, a broken window left untouched. The knocks stopped. A silence so thick it felt like a weight on my chest settled in the room. I lay there, eyes wide, listening for any sound that might betray a presence. The ticking clock seemed louder now, each second stretching into an eternity. Then, from somewhere behind me, a soft, metallic clink, like a key turning in a lock. I sat up, heart racing, and turned to see the bedroom door ajar, the lock on the inside twisted open. No one stood there, just the empty hallway, the faint glow of streetlights spilling across the floor. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just breathed, waiting for whatever reason there was for this intrusion to reveal itself. The night stretched on, the house holding its breath along with me. In that darkness, the only thing I could be certain of was that the door, once an invitation to safety, had become a conduit for something very, very human. And that realization was the most terrifying thing of all. Story 2. It started just after 2:17 a.m. I woke to the sound of knuckles rapping against my front door. 3 quick, sharp taps, like someone trying not to wake the neighbors. My breath caught. Outside, the street was silent, the kind of deep quiet that presses against your eardrums. No cars, no wind, just the low hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. I lay there, rigid beneath the sheets. Wrong number, wrong house. That's what I told myself. People make mistakes. Or maybe it was a cat, a branch, some meaningless noise my half-awake brain had shaped into intention. Then the knocks came again. Harder this time. Deliberate. I swung my legs out of bed, bare feet meeting cold wood. The house smelled stale, like dust and old coffee. My phone sat on the nightstand, screen dark. I didn't touch it. If I turned it on, the light would give me away, like a flashlight in a dark room. I crept down the hall, each floorboard a potential betrayal. Stopped at the peephole. The fisheye glass showed only the dim glow of the porch light, illuminating the welcome mat, the potted ivy, the empty space where a person should have been. No one. I exhaled. My shoulders dropped. Probably some idiot playing a prank, or a raccoon, or my own exhaustion conjuring sounds. Then the knocking returned. 3 more raps, but this time lower, like someone had crouched down. My pulse hammered in my throat. I backed away from the door, eyes locked on the peephole. Then I heard it. A shuffle. A slow scrape, like shoes dragging on wood. Then silence. I called the police. My voice trembled as I whispered into the phone. "Someone's at my door. They won't leave. I don't know who they are." The dispatcher said they'd send a unit. "Stay inside. Lock all doors. Don't open it." I did. I checked the deadbolt, the chain, the windows. Everything secure. Then, 10 minutes later, the knocking came again. Not 3 raps. One long, slow drag of something, metal maybe, along the door, like fingernails, or a knife. I backed into the bedroom, turned off the light, crouched behind the bed. My phone buzzed. "Police, unit en route. Should arrive in 3 minutes." I counted the seconds. Then a new sound. Soft, rhythmic. Thump, thump, thump. Something hitting the door from the outside. Gentle, persistent. I crept back toward the front, heart slamming. Peered through the hole. Nothing. I stepped back and froze. On the floor, just inside the threshold, lay a small object I hadn't seen before. A child's plastic hair clip. Pink, with a faded butterfly. I didn't own that. No one had been inside in days. I backed away, bile rising in my throat. The thumping stopped. Silence. Then a voice. Low. Muffled. Through the door. "Let me in. Please. I'm scared." A child's voice. Girl. Maybe 6 or 7. I didn't move. "Please," she whispered. "He's outside." My breath came in shallow gasps. I wanted to scream, to run. But I couldn't. The door felt like a barrier between 2 worlds, and I didn't know which side was safer. The voice again, even softer. "He said if I knocked 3 times, you'd help me. He's right behind me." I didn't breathe. Then, softly, from the side of the house, the creak of a window being pried open, and the unmistakable sound of footsteps entering my home. I didn't turn on the light. I didn't scream. I just sat there, listening, as something moved through my hallway, and waited. For the knock on the bedroom door. Story 3. I could hear the rain hammering the tin roof of the old duplex, a relentless rhythm that made the walls vibrate. It was past 2 in the morning when the first knock came, slow and deliberate, as if someone were testing the wood. I lay frozen on the couch, clutching the remote, the TV's bluish glow still flickering the static-filled news banner. My throat was dry, my heart a bass drum in my ears. I didn't answer. I didn't even move. The knocking continued, this time a little louder, more insistent. "Hello?" I called, my voice shaky, the words swallowed by the sound of the storm. Silence, then a soft, almost polite cough from the hallway. The knob on the front door turned, the metal screeching against the cheap lock. I knew the building inside out. No one ever visited after midnight. Not my neighbors. Lena kept her door locked. Mr. Patel never left his apartment after dark. I imagined a delivery driver, perhaps, a mistake. Yet every package I'd ordered arrived in the daylight. The knocking stopped. A pause that stretched, the house breathing in the wind. I could feel the weight of the moment. The ordinary world had cracked open, and something unseen hovered in the doorway of my mind. A second knock, sharper this time, reverberating through the thin plaster like a fist. "Is anyone there?" The voice was low, hoarse, a whisper that seemed to come from the very walls. I forced myself up, shuffling across the carpet, heart thudding against my ribs. The hallway light flickered, casting a stuttering silhouette of the door. I could see the faint outline of a figure, its shoulders hunched, a coat soaked through, droplets beating on the dark fabric. "Who's there? What do you want?" I asked, voice barely audible over the storm. There was no answer, only the sound of wet shoes sliding against the linoleum. The figure stepped forward, the metal doorframe creaking under its weight. I could see a glint of something metallic in its hand. An old, rusted fire axe, its wood handle splintered, the blade dulled, but still menacing. My breath caught. I wanted to scream, to run, to hide behind the kitchen counter, but fear had anchored my legs to the floor. The figure stopped at my doorway, its face obscured by a rain-sodden hoodie. It lifted the axe, not in a threat, but in a slow, deliberate motion, as if inspecting the weapon. "Did you see my car?" It rasped, the words barely a whisper. "I'm looking for a place to stay." It broke down. I stared, horrified, realizing the terror wasn't a ghost or a demon, but a desperate, broken human. An intruder who had been turned into a nightmare by circumstance. He was a man, perhaps a drifter, his eyes rimmed with exhaustion, his voice trembling. Instinct overrode politeness. I slammed the door shut, the bolt thudding into place. I heard the axe strike the wood, a dull thud as the intruder pounded the door, the metal ringing like a funeral bell. The rain kept falling. The knocks turned to frantic raps, each echoing my pounding heart. I pressed my back against the door, listening to the sound of a desperate stranger trying to break in. The sound that could become the last thing I ever hear. When the police finally arrived, the storm had passed. The doorway was empty. The axe lay broken on the hallway floor, and a single wet shoe lay abandoned in the hallway. The man was gone, swallowed by the night, leaving only the lingering terror of what might have happened if the door had not held. I never answer late-night knocks again. The darkness outside seems kinder now, because the true horror I faced was not a monster, but a man with a broken engine and a broken mind, and the terrifying realization that sometimes the only thing to fear is what lurks in human desperation.